is Ignite Success, and I'm your host, Snowden McFall, professional speaker, six-time author, and coach. And with me today is Susan King, who is CEO of Feeding Northeast Florida. She's one of our finalists for Professional Businesswoman of the Year for Women Connecting Women event on October 24th. Welcome, Susan.
Thank you so much.
I'm so happy to have you here. Now, you have a pretty illustrious career. You started in the business sector before you got into nonprofits, didn't you?
Yes, most of my career was spent in business. I'm a CPA by trade, started at KPMG as an auditor and then a tax professional, and transferred to the office here and met my husband, my current husband, a couple of weeks after I started. And so one of us was going to be leaving the firm, and so I raised my hand first. Spent about 20 years in commercial real estate development as a CFO, and then over a short period of time transitioned to what has turned out to be my true passion in life, is the nonprofit sector.
Which is wonderful. And I know that you do a great deal for people in the community, and that you've always had, it seems, a passion around food. Because in addition to your nonprofit work, you're part of Atlantic Beach Urban Farms, is that right?
Yes, yes. Interestingly, I spent 6 years with Beam as its executive director, and it was a very small organization when I made that transition in. And one of the things we did, in addition to running pantry operations, we decided to build a garden. Really more of a production farm. We generate about 8,000 pounds of organic produce to support our pantry operations and to teach the community about what real food looks like.
Right.
In the course of that work, we had aeroponic towers donated to us by Tracy Westbrook from a foundation that she has. And it ignited for me a passion in growing. I'd already had been a master gardener, interested in it, but this was a moment when I said, solve world peace.
Yes.
Because we don't need soil, we need a 110 outlet and a water supply, and it really felt like a way that we could grow for the masses in the future. So Tracy and I started on this journey to build a farm. She is clearly the mastermind behind it.
That's wonderful.
And she runs the farm now. It's a very successful commercial operation.
So I know that after Beam, you also went to We Care. And you've done some pretty amazing things in the last year. I know that Susan Nussbaum was in charge of that before you, and she and I were classmates at LJ, Leadership Jacksonville, and I know you've done quite a bit there, so tell us about that.
That was an interesting transition. I left the farm to come help Sue, and then ended up applying for the job when she decided to retire. She's a great friend and had done such an extraordinary job.
Yes, she has.
I didn't know much about healthcare, but I really believed in the intersection of nutrition, healthcare, and serving a community that is truly underserved. So everybody that is served by We Care is 200% of the federal poverty level or below. So they were very much the clients that I was accustomed to dealing with. So I spent the last year learning a lot about healthcare. What a big climb it is. It's a very, very difficult business, but we made some great inroads, and I think left an organization that's very strong. But I had been on the board for Feeding Northeast Florida since we started this organization.
Oh, how about that? Oh, that's great.
For 6 years. And when our CEO left suddenly, I think it was kind of one of those divine moments, and it was just an opportunity that I couldn't turn down, and so I feel like I've sort of found my home,
which is wonderful. So what advice do you have for professional women who might be considering the nonprofit world?
I would say follow your heart.
Yeah.
Because truly, from the moment I went to work for Beam, I feel like I never worked a day. It's never felt like work. And the good that you can do, especially I think as a more experienced, I don't want to call myself older, which I certainly am, but as a more experienced professional, you bring some skills that you really just aren't aware of until you apply them. And I think when you look around this city, there are so many extraordinary women doing unbelievable work in the nonprofit sector. And not to take away from the men, but we seem to kind of find our stride later on in our careers when we can apply all that experience to these very important social issues.
You know, it's so true. I've had many women on the show who are doing amazing things, and it's fascinating to see how many of them have left the for-profit world and gone into not-for-profit and brought their expertise. And I think that that combination is a real sweet spot there.
It is, because at the end of the day, every nonprofit is ultimately a business.
It is, and it has to sustain itself.
It has to. And I think we find ourselves much more successful when we bring those business skills to this sector. And you see more and more that nonprofits are doing that because, you know, we need to be solving these social issues.
And women are the ones who are predominantly in these nonprofits.
They are. They are.
I think it's a combination of their emotional intelligence and their willingness to collaborate and that nurturing instinct. What do you think?
I completely agree. You know, I look around and say, how do we all end up in this space? And you know, for some of us, it's we have the luxury financially of being able to do it because historically, nonprofits haven't paid as well.
Right,
That's
right.
starting to change.
Right.
That's another soapbox for another time.
That's right.
Yeah.
We have talked about pay equity here.
Yes.
Yes.
But I also think that it's just a time in your life when you bring that nurturing spirit, you bring your experience, and you say, I can solve this.
Which is wonderful.
It's believable. It's doable. Yeah.
Well, Susan is again up for Professional Businesswoman of the Year at the Women Connecting Women event. If you would like to attend on October 24th, 5:30 to 8, you can go to pwcjax.org and get your tickets now. Thank you so much, Susan, for all you do.
Thank you so much for having me.
My pleasure.